Throughout history, pandemics have profoundly shaped the trajectory of human societies, acting as pivotal catalysts for transformation across political, economic, cultural, and scientific domains. These large-scale health crises, while devastating in their immediate human cost, often left long-term legacies that redefined civilizations. One of the earliest documented pandemics, the Plague of Athens in 430 BCE, decimated the Athenian population during the Peloponnesian War and contributed to Athens' military decline, highlighting how disease can alter the balance of power. The Antonine Plague, 165–180 CE, likely smallpox, ravaged the Roman Empire and is believed to have killed over 5 million people, weakening Roman military might and hastening the empire's vulnerability to external threats. But perhaps no pandemic has influenced the course of human history as dramatically as the Black Death, 1347–1351, which wiped out an estimated 25–50 million people across Europe, roughly a third of its population. The demographic shock was so severe that it triggered a fundamental restructuring of European society. Labor shortages empowered peasants to demand higher wages and better living conditions, challenging the rigid feudal hierarchy. This erosion of the feudal system paved the way for the rise of a more mobile and economically empowered middle class, altering the social fabric of Europe permanently. Moreover, the Black Death catalyzed a transformation in cultural and intellectual life. The trauma and existential uncertainty led many to question the authority of the Church, contributing to the conditions that would eventually culminate in the Protestant Reformation. Art and literature from this period, such as the macabre themes in Danse Macabre imagery, reflected a heightened awareness of mortality. In the realm of public health, the Black Death spurred the earliest forms of quarantine, as Italian port cities like Venice implemented 40-day isolation policies for incoming ships, laying the groundwork for organized responses to future outbreaks. Fast forward to the 19th century, the cholera pandemics, particularly the third pandemic, 1846–1860, highlighted the intersection of disease with urbanization and industrialization. As cities grew rapidly, often without adequate sanitation, cholera exposed the squalid conditions of the working class. The response to cholera marked a turning point in public health. Reformers like Edwin Chadwick in Britain used the pandemic to argue for sanitary reform, leading to the development of modern sewer systems and public health boards. Perhaps most famously, Dr. John Snow's mapping of cholera cases around a contaminated water pump in London laid the foundation for the science of epidemiology. This moment marked a shift from miasma theory to germ theory, demonstrating how pandemics can spur scientific progress and institutional reform. Similarly, the Spanish flu of 1918–1919, which killed an estimated 50 million people worldwide, reshaped modern health systems. Coming in the wake of World War I, the flu underscored the importance of coordinated global health responses. Many governments began establishing national health ministries and investing in surveillance systems to detect outbreaks earlier. The pandemic also left a cultural imprint, from the rise of personal hygiene awareness to changes in public behavior, such as mask wearing and social distancing, that would echo in future outbreaks. It also influenced the creation of international health organizations, eventually leading to the formation of the World Health Organization, WHO, in 1948. The HIV/AIDS pandemic, which emerged in the late 20th century, had a different but equally profound societal impact. Initially marked by stigma and denial, especially toward marginalized communities, HIV/AIDS forced a reckoning with public attitudes toward sexuality, race, and inequality. Over time, advocacy from affected groups pushed governments to invest in medical research, leading to the development of antiretroviral therapy, ART, which turned a fatal disease into a manageable chronic condition. HIV/AIDS also transformed global health funding models, prompting the creation of initiatives like the Global Fund to fight AIDS. tuberculosis and malaria, and PEPFAR, President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, which continue to influence how the world combats infectious diseases today. The COVID-19 pandemic, the most significant global health crisis of the 21st century so far, has similarly acted as an accelerant of change across nearly every domain of life. It has exposed the fragility of global supply chains, the inequalities in healthcare access, and the dangers of misinformation in the digital age. Economically, it disrupted global markets, accelerated automation, and altered labor dynamics, especially with the normalization of remote work, which may redefine urban planning, housing markets, and even social interaction patterns for generations. Politically, it tested the resilience of democratic institutions and the capacity of authoritarian regimes to enforce compliance. Countries with transparent communication and community trust fared better, underlining the importance of governance quality during crises. Technologically, COVID-19 led to unprecedented scientific collaboration, with vaccines being developed in record time thanks to mRNA technology. This innovation is likely to revolutionize not just vaccinology, but treatment for other diseases, including cancer. Furthermore, COVID-19 sparked global conversations about mental health, educational equity, and digital inclusion, as millions of people grappled with isolation and remote learning. In many ways, the pandemic functioned as a mirror, reflecting societal strengths and weaknesses, and as a hammer, breaking systems that were already under strain. It also prompted renewed interest in pandemic preparedness, with governments and institutions reassessing their healthcare infrastructure, stockpiling strategies, and global cooperation frameworks. Historically, each pandemic has acted as both a destroyer and a creator, devastating existing structures while laying the seeds for new paradigms. For instance, the societal shifts post-Black Death contributed to the Renaissance, as declining religious authority and a renewed focus on human experience opened the door for artistic, scientific, and intellectual flourishing. Similarly, the cholera epidemics of the 19th century helped usher in the modern city, with improved water systems, waste management, and urban planning. The 1918 flu made public health a priority in national governance and taught the world the importance of clear communication during crises, a lesson not always heeded in future pandemics. HIV/AIDS broke silence around marginalized voices and instilled a global sense of solidarity in combating disease, which continues in campaigns for health equity. COVID-19, while still recent, is already reshaping how we think about work, travel, community, and resilience. It is likely to leave a lasting legacy on digital infrastructure, healthcare systems, and international cooperation. Moreover, pandemics often act as leveling events, where traditional hierarchies and power structures are momentarily destabilized, giving rise to opportunities for reform. They reveal vulnerabilities in the social contract and can galvanize collective action toward building more inclusive and robust societies. However, this transformation is not guaranteed. It depends on how societies respond to the trauma, whether they retreat into fear and division or use the moment to rebuild with greater foresight and empathy. Thus, while pandemics are inherently destructive, they are also crucibles of progress. In their wake, they leave not only scars, but blueprints, fragments of wisdom etched into the collective memory of humanity. From the fall of empires to the birth of new scientific disciplines, from medieval quarantines to modern global vaccine distribution, the legacy of pandemics is one of paradox, ruin and rebirth, collapse and creation, suffering and strength. As history demonstrates, it is not merely the disease itself that determines its long-term impact, but how humanity chooses to respond, adapt, and evolve in the face of existential challenge.